Welcome to the Solid Waste Subcommittee of the Public Works and Planning Committee. This is May 19th, and tonight is the last RFP, 9 of 9. This is Pratt Recycling, and before we get started, we will officially call the roll. And Rachel, if you would do that, please.
Commissioner Dodd?
Here.
Commissioner Blair?
Here.
Commissioner Piercy?
Here.
Commissioner Serino?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Here.
Commissioner Harris? Here. Chairman Cush?
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Score sheets are in front of you. I would highly encourage that you score Pratt before the end of the night. And if you have any other tardy scoring sheets to turn in to Becky, do so tonight. Tonight is your last chance. Becky will do the tally, and she will have that for us very quickly. This is Becky's last meeting, I believe, so she will forward that accumulation of numbers, aggregate numbers, to us, and we will do with those as we see fit. So make sure you get Pratt as you go and give that tonight and all others that you may have out there. Again, I want to thank Becky for doing a summary. I want to get right to the business at hand, and that is to introduce Pratt Recycling. I think you all will find this very intriguing, and I believe, Kurt, are you the chief spokesman? I will let you come up, and whoever else would like to come up and be your cohort tonight. And then you just tell us if you would like to keep all of our questions till the end of your presentation, or, you know, a Q&A as you go. Whatever you're set up and comfortable with, we will abide by your rule.
It's entirely up to you, and really however it flows. If you have questions, feel free.
Okay.
We can do that.
All right.
And there's a video of our nurse responders. If you want to see that, we can do that.
All right.
So it's pretty open. How we want to.
Sounds good. All right. One other little tidbit of information. This is being recorded, obviously, and it's also live at home. So don't feel bad that you have your back to us. You need to speak into that microphone so television and the World Wide Web can pick you up and go national. So international, that's right. And if you would introduce the players so the folks at home can follow.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to not be decorous. I'd like to have the prices in front of me before we start talking. Is that appropriate, guys?
I don't see why it wouldn't hurt.
We hadn't seen your prices. They've been sealed since.
By the looks in their eyes, there may be a hiccup on that for 1 second.
No worries. Thank you for...
So
I'll step aside. Thank you.
We'll let them hammer that out while we go ahead and continue. So, Kurt, if you would introduce yourself and the players on deck.
Yeah, so I'm Kurt Schmitz. This is John Dunlap. John runs our Southwest region for Pratt Recycling. Robert Decker is in the back. He runs the entire southern region operations for Pratt Recycling. We have Matt Coppage. He is our sales manager for the southern region. We have Robert Phillips. He runs our Nashville recycling plant. We have Mari Hahn, she's a developer. She does all the sales and procurement for the Nashville plant in the Nashville area. And we have Abby Patterson, and she helps us put together all the presentations and gathers data for us and puts it all together so that we can be successful at what we do. So that's our team.
Tell me again who's going to speak with you. Kurt, who's the young man that's going to be with you up front?
John Dunlap.
John, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, and Becky will run the audio visual if you need that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me turn this off. Hold on.
In Rotary World, yeah, it's $5. Yeah, cash money.
All right. I'll catch you up afterwards. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate the time and the opportunity to present what we think is a great value proposition to Rutherford County. I'm going to talk a little bit about who Pratt is, what we do, how we do it, what the value proposition is to our company of doing public-private partnerships and relationships on the recycling side. So Pratt's the fifth, I guess we can change it, you know.
You may have to enable editing.
Slideshow.
There we go.
Okay, so I'm going to just do an overview. Again, as I'm going through all of this, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me, question. We'll just kind of have it a fluid discussion. We're the fifth largest corrugator in North America, and what that means is we make boxes, we make brown boxes. Our differentiation is that we are the largest privately held paper and packaging company in the world. It's owned by one gentleman, Anthony Pratt. And so our parent company is in Australia, and Anthony is an Australian. And we started in 1994 with our first paper mill in Conyers, Georgia. What differentiates us from the other four corrugated packaging companies ahead of us is that all of our paper mills are 100% recycled, and it's the newest technology available. We've built the last 5 out of 6 recycled containerboard paper mills in the U.S. Conyers was our first. Shreveport, Louisiana. We have Staten Island, New York, Valparaiso, Indiana, and Wapakoneta, Ohio. And those 5 mills consume over 2 million tons a year of fiber, of recovered fiber. So it's 100% recycled, no virgin. So our company is vertically integrated. And what that means is that we have everything from the collection to the fiber, or the sourcing of the fiber, goes into our paper mills. We make big rolls of paper, new paper. It goes to our converting plants. We have one at Humboldt, Tennessee, where we make corrugated sheets. It then goes to our, what we call a sheet plant. We have one in Laverne, and we make boxes to distribute to a lot of companies in Rutherford County. Amazon, Nissan is a huge box customer of ours. So it's a kind of a closed loop, and then at these companies, at Nissan and the different companies we sell the boxes to, we then backhaul the old boxes that they're recycling. So it is a complete closed loop and a circular economy. So,
Can I ask a quick question?
sure.
If you don't want me to ask questions, tell me to hold off.
No, it's fine.
Does paper recycling, in particular the cardboard boxes, does it have a life cycle or a number of recyclable times before you just can't do it? It turns to mush?
The industry data is about 7 times.
Okay, so you can turn it 7 times.
7 times.
I was just curious.
So we are also different in that not only are we 100% recycled, but about 70% of what we use to make our new paper is actually mixed paper. It's not OCC. Now we're making new corrugated boxes, but we make it out of an average of 70% mixed paper. So your curbside, single stream collection, the paper that comes out of that, it's office paper, newspapers, and cereal boxes and all that stuff. We consider that mixed paper. Nobody else does that. No other paper mill in North America has that recipe or is able to make the quality of boxes that we can make with that blend of fiber. So residential recycling mixed paper is extremely important to us because it is a huge portion of our feedstock going into our paper mills. So we have, let's go through like forward, maybe 2 or 3. Right, let's stay on that one. So we have 16 recycling plants in North America. We have actually what's called a liquid bed gasifier in Conyers, and we produce 100% of the steam and about 50% of the electricity to run our Conyers campus with that gasifier. And we gasify the rejects that come out of the paper mill. Yeah.
I'm having difficulty hearing you. You don't mind?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. Better? So we use that gasifier to produce the steam and about 50% of the electricity to run the campus. And on that campus, we have a paper mill, we have a corrugated plant, we have our recycling plant, we have a design center, we have our corporate offices. It's a huge campus. There's about 780 people that work on that campus. And so that gasifier actually gasifies the rejects. So, in a MRF, the paper that we produce is not 100% clean. There's 2 to 5% contaminants. So those contaminants, the flattened water bottles and things, gets rejected out of our paper mill process because we can't make paper out of something that's not paper. So we actually end up gasifying that. So again, it's kind of a closed circular economy, and we control our own, energy. We have our 5 paper mills, the 17 corrugating plants, and 27 converting plants, and we are growing exponentially. We're putting a brand new corrugator in Virginia right now. We're putting a distribution center in outside of Atlanta in a town called Austell, and that is to help support our retail business. So if you go into Home Depot and you go into the moving aisle and you see the Home Depot moving boxes, in every Home Depot in all of North America, those are made by Pratt. We also supply everything else in that aisle, so the tape and the cushion wrap and all of that. And so we have huge distribution centers throughout the nation to supply that to all the stores. So very diverse, but we are very vertically integrated. Everything that we do and all the divisions support the other divisions to produce our product. Next slide. So there's our locations. Again, we're adding them every day. It's probably not up to date because as of 2 weeks ago, it's probably not up to date. Next slide kind of describes our close the loop, what I just described to you. So going into recycling, John, you want to jump in?
As Kurt said, my name is John Dunlap. I run this region of Pratt Recycling. I currently oversee the Nashville plant in Memphis. We have Denton, Texas, Houston, Texas, and our Shreveport mill. I currently live in Shreveport, and I'll be moving to what I've been told is pronounced Lebanon, and I call it Lebanon, so I'll get it right when I move here. But yeah, so I want to talk about our recycling facilities, and you can go to the next slide, next one after that. What we do. I don't know how much experience you guys have had with recycling facilities or what you've been in, but a lot of what we do is capturing, process the material, bring it to our MRFs. We sort it, the paper, the plastics, the aluminum cans, all that. The paper supplies our mills. And we'll get to another slide that talks about that, but I think that's where we have value as we know markets get tough with moving commodities. These plastics, these papers, they're commodities. We're an eternal user. We're going to use it. We're always going to use it because we're always going to make boxes. We have 16 recovery facilities across the United States. You can see it there. You can go to the next slide. next one after that. So with this, Pratt, we really value the close-the-loop opportunities. We provide zero-waste landfills initiatives for our customers. As this says, one of our biggest things is trying to maximize landfill diversion. We are not in the waste, industry. We're not in the landfill industry. We're in the recycling industry. And we pride ourselves in taking every precaution we can, any way we can recover commodities for our facility, for our mills, we do so. You skip to the next one. So here's an example of some of the close-the-loop opportunities we talk about. We call it close-the-loop because, as Kurt said before, a lot of these locations are here in Tennessee, and like you said, we really pride ourselves on that model, that clean close-the-loop. We got Nissan, Walmart's are everywhere. Amazon's on here. We just it's not on here, but we just not too long ago did a huge box sell customer with the United States Postal Service. So if you go to the Postal Service and you buy a box and ship it, it's got a Pratt logo on the bottom. We made it. We also, a lot of those locations where they get those extra boxes, they have, for whatever reason, we'll try to collect those in certain USP, United States Postal Service collections across the United States, bring it back to our recycling plants, recycle it, send it back to our mill, and the cycle continues. Let me go to the next slide. What sets Pratt apart? And I said this before. We don't have any challenges of selling or moving the commodities. Don't know how many of you knew a couple years ago, back in 2016, when China banned all incoming imports. You couldn't send mixed paper there. You have a hard time getting OCC there. You can still move it there in some sense, not in China, but in Southeast Asia. Plastics. There was a lot of initiatives in the Chinese government where they banned imports. A lot of recyclers struggled. We didn't. We're our own mills. We internalize it. As far as our plastics go, we keep it in the States. As Kurt mentioned earlier, we have partnerships with plastic companies and things like that where we can work with them. Example is Mohawk. Mohawk makes carpet. We make boxes for boxes for Mohawk to ship it. Well, they make that carpet out of PET, out of plastic. So we sell them the plastics out of our MRFs. We have MRFs all over. Big example, when we sell them the plastics, in return, they make carpet out of it, recycled carpet, and we sell them boxes as well. So we have a lot of these agreements, trade agreements on both sell side, product side, with other recyclable companies where we have had no problem moving our material. As a vertically integrated recyclable company, recovery of recyclable it's our main goal, unlike waste companies where the alternative solution is landfilled. You go to the next slide. So we have, obviously we have 16 recycling facilities, but we have 3 that would mimic something that we would be doing here, a private public partnership with the city, with the county, with the location where we could work with you guys to bring in residential material, educate. Denton, Texas is one of them. Kurt can talk about the Georgia locations. That's his region, but I was a big part of the Texas location. Actually, several years before I was in this position, I ran it. I did educational tours. I worked for the city. We have a 20-year agreement with them, and we're halfway through it, and it's going better than ever. Denton, Texas is a North Texas city, very growing city, college town, and when I first came there was like nothing there, and now it's like how it is here. It's just like everything's growing, and the city only gets bigger, and we're only getting more single stream, and we're only getting more recyclables, and it's been a great success story. And like Kurt said, we talked to a couple of you guys, we have videos online that we could show later of our MRFs, but you're also, if you want to, you're welcome to visit any of these. They are Denton's kind of my pride and joy, my baby, because I fostered it for so many years, but it is a locations that we're proud of. This may not seem like very important, but we do like to talk about this. Who's on our team? Most of these people are here. But what I want to show you is, you can see Me and Kurt are on there. What I want to show with this is we're a very lean company, and we're very nimble, meaning we don't have a lot of layers in our group. We're a small, big company. So when we don't have shareholders, we're not a publicly traded company, we're privately owned, we have a core group of people that we all work together as a team, almost like a family unit. This is it. Right above us is our president, Sean State, and he's actually was in Nashville today, working on something at the Nashville plant, couldn't be here tonight. But there's not a lot of levels. I mean, right above Sean State, which is our division president, is the global CEO of our company, who runs both our Australian divisions and Visi and the United States. So all of this is under this small, lean group. And we take pride in that simply because we can make decisions very quickly. We make decisions very quickly. We're close to the source. We're all in this circle together, and there's not a lot of corporate ladders or a lot of decisions or shareholder meetings. We can just do it. We don't live for quarterly earnings. We live for long-term, sustainable contracts, sustainable goals with our partners like you guys. And going to the services, I'd like to let Kurt discuss all the services we offer and take it from there.
So in the RFP, there were some tonnages, and I think a lot of it's being collected, or all of it's being collected in convenience sites today. What our value proposition is that, look, we'll grow with you, and we'll help you grow. And we will put a facility in to process the tons that you have today, but be capable of processing the tons that you're going to have a year from now, in 5 years from now, and 10 years from now. And help you grow from what you have today to what your vision is long-term. And if that's curbside collection services for single stream, or increasing convenience site drop-offs, whatever that looks like, and I'm not sure anybody really knows today what that looks like, we'll be here to support it and help it grow. If there's property that we could build a facility on that's owned by the county, or if you have a building, or if we can find some property that we can zone correctly to build a facility, we'll build one here for you. And we've actually already been looking. We've been looking for a few years, because we knew that we needed to be in Rutherford County. So, it's good timing. It's a great partnership. I think from here it kind of gets into that discussion. How can we facilitate a facility? What's that? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. It's Mr. Schultz, right? Schmitz. Okay. M-I-T-Z.
ITZ, yeah.
M-I-T-Z. Mr. Schmitz, thank you for attending tonight and talking about if we had a location. How many acres would you need for that type of facility?
So I'll give you the ultimate. If we could have 12 to 15 acres,
all right,
that would have enough room to put the type of building that we need.
Yes, sir.
And have enough parking and things for trucks and semi-trailers and
okay,
whatever vehicle parking we need, employee parking, have offices, and so that 12 to 15 acres is kind of our.
And this would be a MRF?
Yes. So.
Okay.
So today there's not enough single stream to put a full-blown MRF in.
Sure.
So.
But you start small and grow.
We have a facility outside of Atlanta on the west side, and what we do is we take in single stream there, and we pre-process it. So what we do is we scalp off all the cardboard off of it. We take the glass and the fines out, and then we bale up the the cardboard and we sell it out of there, and we take the glass to Strategic for processing, and then we transfer what's left to our Conyers MRF because it has the capability to process that.
Sure.
So the kind of vision would be maybe put something like that in a pre-process and then transfer it to Conyers to process until we build the volume up to where it makes sense to put a full MRF in. But then have the building already big enough to hold the MRF.
Gotcha.
But, so, again, growing with the county as it grows and, helping to facilitate that growth. Well,
Of course, this commission's been trying to recycle for quite some time. As I shared with you when I first came in, we recycle Rutherford, which I was on that board back in 1992 when we first got started, and we've kind of gotten hot and gotten cold, and we still continue to try to do it. But in reading your RFP, the educational part, to help change the culture, and that's what this body wants to do, is change the culture. We would like to. We know we'll never get to the first county to be at zero waste, and then that you never get to zero waste. You're still going to have a landfill. However, because the markets are beginning to come back up, I believe, because raw stock has been eliminated through COVID, and so the prices are beginning to come back up. And you say that you would be willing to, your transportation, your fleet would come and pick up the recyclables at our 14, 15 convenience centers.
Yes, we could do that.
Okay, and then you would share with us after the cost of the transportation, I would assume, when you sell that bulk. Okay, which I think is.
And we have found that structure to be the most.
So this is a true P3 of us doing business with you.
Right.
Yes, sir.
It's sustainable, long-term, good markets, bad markets. Everybody has their costs covered, and then we share in the revenues.
Sure. And what do you do with your glass? We pay to have our glass picked up and hauled off.
I don't know about Strategic in the area. We're or a glass processor, but we would
find,
figure it out.
You have an end market for everything that we would be recycling, and of course it's been stated by many, and we all know it. We need to start at the earliest age in our schools and start teaching about recycling, the 3 R's, if you will, and try to plant that seed early. And through good signage, and this committee has plans right now to restructure all of our convenience centers and make it more convenient, longer hours, take more items at our convenience centers, and and very intriguing of what you're proposing tonight.
And we could help with that too. If the method of collection today is not supportive of the volume that you have coming in, let's say, so you have an open top for the OCC, but it gets filled too fast, it's not getting pulled fast enough, maybe put a compactor in, or things like that. We can help you be able to recover more with the infrastructure that you have today.
Well, you could help us in the educational part of educating our our citizens of how to bring clean loads of. Yeah. If you got a pizza box, the one that's got cheese on it, tear the top off that doesn't have cheese on it and bring that one, throw the other one away, right? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask, since we're in this part of the process, which community would mirror us the most, Denton or Columbus? And maybe you could give us a historical, you said Denton is 10 years old?
It's 10 years into a 20-year deal, right?
Okay. So maybe kind of share with us how Denton started and how it grew and what you did to help it grow and why it grew.
Do you want to You want to tackle it? Okay.
How big is Denton?
I gotta remember all those tonnages.
Denton is, well, you take out the college, or you take out MTSU, they're pretty close to, I think, what Murfreesboro is, yeah. It's not a big, from Texas standards, Denton is not a big town.
No, it's not. And wasn't when I came there as well. So I came in there, I believe, in 2012, and they were already kind of in the early stage processes. I was running a facility in Memphis. And when we first started with City of Denton, if I'm recalled, they were probably bringing in somewhere around, maybe 300-400 tons a month. It was very, very small amount. So 300-400 tons for us is a small amount for that city. And even at that time, we actually did something kind of similar to where we do in Atlanta West, because we had a Murph in Shreveport right next to our mill, right there. So at that time, it wasn't quite built up yet. So we would actually bell it up, ship it down there while we were working with them to grow the volume. I believe as of today, they're doing over nearly 1,000 tons of single stream a month, but we also work with them on the commercial level, so another 500-600 tons of commercial OCC that comes from different locations that they service. Now, they're different in the sense that they actually do have rollout cans, and they service their own material, but they bring it to us, and we separate it. The difference is the growth with them. It's really was grassroots. It was me almost every single week working with them. I probably, at the peak, was probably doing at least 2 education tours of the facility a day, every day, from the colleges, from the schools, from the systems, from community groups, from churches. And I worked with them very diligently, not only to educate them about recycling, but to teach them how not to contaminate material, how to not contaminate recycling, the difference from it. So in the past 10 years, it's probably doubled in single stream volume and tripled in overall volume that's come in. And for that city, that was a good number for them. They're happy. And so the facility that we have, the land is owned by the city. It's actually on their landfill property. So they have a whole system there called EcoWorks. It's an incredible, great system, and they have chemical processing. They created almost like it's their solid waste authority group, but it's a all waste center. They have the recycling facility there. They had a transfer station where they brought in trash material and scalped off paper from even what people threw into trash. They had battery recycling. Then they had their landfill, which they're currently going through a remining station, actually, to remine out their old landfill cells, which is pretty state-of-the-art stuff they're doing. But we were pretty intricate, I think, in helping them with their recycling program. They had no recycling program before that. We helped start it up. We supported them through it. Like I said, even in the bad times in markets, we took it all to our mill. So, does that answer? I hope.
Well, it just kind of gives us an example.
Yep.
Of how we might proceed.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, I think the biggest thing is we didn't just drop a MRF there and leave them. At least I didn't. I was very dedicated to making my plant run and make it run right. So, Kurt.
John, hold on while you're up there. I got a couple of questions about a couple of things that you mentioned. One is you said that you provide zero waste landfills. Maybe I didn't hear that correctly, but I want you to expound on that and tell me exactly what you meant.
Yeah.
Come back to Mike.
John, come back to the mic.
Go ahead. You go ahead. Yeah.
A perfect example is Nissan in Smyrna, right, Mari? So we do some processing of their manufacturing waste, and the residual goes to Covanta in Huntsville.
Repeat that, please.
So we bring in some manufacturing production waste. We pull out as much recyclables as we can out of it, and we take the residue or what's left over that's not recyclable to Covanta in Huntsville. Covanta is a waste to energy. It's a cement kiln. Yeah.
One of the redstone.
So you're taking what you can't recycle to Huntsville where they've got a waste to energy. I'm familiar with their facility.
Right.
What about any other inert material? I mean, glass, I don't know, I assume you're recycling the glass. I saw you had metals down, paper, plastics.
Sure. We bale up and sell and recycle all of the commodities that come out of single stream, the program materials. So your steel cans, your aseptic cartons, milk jugs, your plastic milk jugs, your detergent bottles, your water bottles, your aluminum cans, all of that comes out and you'll see it here in the video if you want to watch the video, how we do that. And then we bale it up and we sell it to the open market to like Novellus, who uses it for aluminum and different things.
So you're basically telling me that everything that we generate, you're going to have a home for besides landfilling?
Out of single stream. Out of single stream. Now, there is always a percentage of non-program materials in single stream. Always. It's contamination.
Well, that's why I kept digging to see, because that's basically what I've been learning.
Right. But
something else John mentioned, I want to follow up on too. The city, and what was the name of the city you were talking about?
Denton, Texas.
Denton, Texas? Okay. You said they were mining their old landfill. I want to hear about that, because that's something that we're interested in.
I think you're good.
Picture.
You're good.
On?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and you said, I don't know all the details on their mining program, but what they're trying to do in their landfill is basically, they're going to run out of room in 25 years. And they have a project where they are attempting to remine the material, try to find material in that they can either reuse, resell, or mostly turn into energy in the sort. It's like finding ways to reuse their old cells. I don't know all the details because it wasn't my project. It's solid waste, their deal, but it's an initiative they've been working on 10 years. And actually, I believe they were the first landfill in the country that got a federal grant for it. Maybe the first or the second, but one of the first, definitely the first in Texas. So it was kind of an experimental thing, but worth looking into. But yeah, that's what they do there.
So the county is doing that, not y'all, as far as mining the landfill, but
Yes.
y'all
Correct.
are, I assume
Yes,
y'all
yeah,
are.
we only handle the recycling portion. We don't handle any of that. It's their county-owned, city-owned landfill. Yeah, so they handle all that.
So if we started digging ours out, whether we had somebody doing that for us or we took it on ourselves, we could send you, if we had a MRF, I assume it's what we're talking about, if you had a MRF set up, we could send these materials to your MRF from the materials we're mining?
We've never mined material out of a landfill before, so I don't know how to answer that. I don't know what the quality of that material would look like or be, so I don't know.
Well, and to jump in, they haven't even started yet. They're in the process of looking at, and they got scientists, I guess, apparently, trying to figure out if the material is even recoverable, all that. Most of it they're trying to, just figure out. They're trying to think outside the box on this, but they haven't actually started yet. They've just been talking about it. They got permit for it a while back, but I don't know any more details on it. And as far as recovering material, like you said, we don't know. We've never done it. It would take extensive test studies to even realize if it's even recyclable material at that point. So I think they're more so looking, can we take it out? Can we use it for energy? Is there another way to get this material out? Can it be, like you said, burned, turned to waste energy? There's a waste energy plant in Oklahoma. I know they've been in talks with them about trying to do some stuff with them. They're just trying to preserve their landfill as long as they can.
So my bottom line question is, if we were mining ours out, would you or would you not accept materials out of there? I know there would be some material not acceptable, but if there's plastics and there's paper in there, looks like that'd be right up y'all's alley.
Well, paper out of a landfill is not something that paper is a lot more contaminated by moisture and dirt and gravel, and I would say paper out of a landfill is not going to be suitable to make new paper out of. Now, plastics, maybe. Again, I don't know. I don't know. We've never processed landfill mined material, and again, it would be a learning experience for all of us.
Okay, thank you.
Got a question, Mr. Chairman. So would you help us engage are we talking about residential waste that just comes to our convenience centers, or could you help us with the business, hotels, retail stores?
Sure. We can help with all of that.
All commercial and residential.
Right.
Okay. So I think we need to include both if we're going to try to change the culture of everybody participating. Because if you're collecting all those shoe boxes out behind the building, you pay less shoes. Then you go home and collect those same shoe boxes at home. So, okay. Well, I brought this book. This is put out by the chamber. It's called Vital Signs. This is put out by the Nashville Chamber of Commerce and Greater Nashville Regional Council, GNRC, which I sit on that board. But it talks about the vital signs for the mid-state area. This past year, it said, which 3 items below do you think should receive the most attention from community leaders over the next year? And number 1 was public transit. And of course, that's usually taken their universe that they pulled this from was in Metro Nashville, city streets. But number 3 was recycling. And garbage collection was 4.8. Sewer services was at the bottom, 3.6. But very interesting that people still want to recycle. They feel an obligation to do that.
Absolutely.
I just got a text from a viewer that's actually watching it live, and they said Columbus, Georgia is almost exact mirror of Rutherford County with about 330,000 people, which is what we have with university and stuff like that. My question, hopefully this is not getting into the weeds too much, but I've always been a little puzzled by what is acceptable and what's not. A pizza box with pizza on it is, like the mayor said, you have to tear it in two, and part of it can be recycled and the other can't. But did I hear you say detergent bottles and things like that? Why would that not be contaminated because of having had detergent or bleach or some other cleaning, ammonia, Windex, how those differ from, because they're plastics instead of the cardboard?
It's all in the reprocessing process. So they have washing systems, and then they'll granulate it and make it back into a pellet that then could be remolded back into a bottle. And in the case of, let's say, a water bottle, or anything that's PET, number one, plastic, typically it goes into carpet. They do the same thing. They'll wash it, they take the label off, they take the cap off, they chip it up, and then they make it into yarn. So it's all in how the recycling process is. In a pizza box, as long as there's not, whole pieces of pizza in there or a big glob of, pepperoni and cheese and anchovies, the box is recyclable. That paper is recyclable. There's, as technology develops, the ability to handle the contamination gets better and better. Now, we don't like contamination, but it's kind of part of the process. You're going to have soap in your detergent bottle that's left over. A little bit, a lot, depends on when you throw it away. So.
And like with paper, the reason we can't take soiled paper because of the process. When we bring paper back to our mills, we're getting it wet. We're putting it into a pulper. So when paper or cardboard gets soiled, it breaks down the fiber before it gets there. That's our job. We're breaking down the fiber. So, and when plastics get into paper, it causes problems. And like Kurt said, you having a little bit of material in your detergent bottle, it's going to get, in the process of being recycled, it's going to get washed. They have to wash it. So it's not, when a lot of times we'll have citizens say, well, do I have to clean out my peanut butter jug, scoop my peanut butter out, of my peanut butter before I put it in there. Look, eat all your peanut butter. That's what I do. There's not much left when I'm done, but you don't have to scoop it out because it's going to get washed in the process. Well, someone says, well, can I throw a old damp, pizza box in there? Well, like he said, as long as it's not covered with stuff, it's fine. But if it's soaking and it's got, whatever, like he said, cheese and beer spilled on it, it's really no good because it's already gone through the first part of the pulping process that we would normally do. So at that point, it becomes a contamination or a problem for us in our system. So each grade really has its own. That's part of what we do in an education program that we did in a lot of these other cities. Full-on education. Teach them what to do.
So you have a container that is full of Amazon boxes, and they're all clean, and then somebody throws a pizza box that does have cheese and pepperoni residue. Does that contaminate the entire batch, or you just throw that one piece
not generally
away?
speaking. It's usually, my pizza boxes aren't going to be soaking off, so that's where the sorting process comes through. It comes through our MRF, and they'll see that, and they'll a sorter will say, they'll pull that one out. They'll say, that one can't go in the bells. Yeah.
Kirk, excuse me if you want to go to.
Yes, sir. Gato?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to ask Mr. Smith, I heard the mayor ask you, how much land you need. You said about 15,000 feet.
Acres, yeah.
15 acres. And if everything go well, how long will it take, to build? And what size of the facility that you're thinking? Because I know you list the 5 company, the largest one with 90,000 down to 31. The size you built for the Rutherford County.
The optimal size of the building is somewhere around 80,000 square feet. So.
And it would take a year to get that in play?
Probably. By the time we sited it, permitted it, got the contractors in, and it'd take a year at least, maybe 18 months. Depending on the availability of the contractors and the materials and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Kirk, you mentioned earlier PPP, public-private partnership. In your mind, how would that work, or how has it worked in other places? I assume that of course, we could probably provide property and zoning, which is two things you definitely have to have. The thing that concerns me is, if you're going to build a facility, how much the county would be investing, or, tell me how that PPP would work.
So it could look however we want it to look. And I'll give you an example. In City of Columbus, their property is on their landfill. They actually built the building. We put the equipment in. We source the tons. We market the tons. They operate it. City of Denton was different. They provided the land again. We built the building. We put the equipment in. We operate it. So there's many different ways to get to the end result of having an operating MRF or baling plant or whatever. So it's all about what do we have available as resources? Is it land? Is it a building? Is it just the ability to zone a certain area the right way? The dedication to growing the recycling program, growing the volume, and we work together to achieve that. So those are just some of the components of the partnerships that we have today. City of Conyers is totally different. It was an RFP. We actually ended up putting in an MSW transfer station. It's the only one we have, and we probably won't do it again. I won't say that. It's the only one we have. It's attached to the MRF, and we have a recovery permit to recover some dry OCC out of the inbound. So again, different in every situation. It's whatever the end situation needs to look like for Rutherford County. It's what are your goals, what do you want to achieve, and we'll help you get there.
Well, since you brought up the transfer station and the MRF, your two main facilities, how is the odor around those two facilities? I know the one you mentioned was at a landfill, so I know you're going to have some landfill smells, but as far as your MRFs, and you've got several of them around, how are they accepted in the communities they in as far as trash moving in and out, on the roadways, keeping the roadways picked up and clean, the odor around the surrounding areas, that and the transfer stations? What kind of relationship have you got with those facilities and the communities?
We have excellent relationships with the communities. In a transfer station, it is a constant battle to keep the outbound loads tarped, the inbound loads, if it's in a compactor, that mesh that covers it, making sure that hauler keeps it covered so it's not down the road. Every day we're picking stuff up on the road because that's the agreement we have with the city. As far as odors, we really don't have an odor problem. In the transfer station, it's inside the building, and it's pretty much cleaned every day. It ebbs and flows, but it's pretty much cleaned every day. And the single stream MRFs, we really don't have an odor problem. You might get a bad load in every once in a while, but for the most part, it's not. We don't have an odor problem.
How far are those facilities located from residential housing?
Conyers is probably pretty far. It's in an industrial area, in a commercial area. I'm trying to think where the closest. Now in Denton, it's very close, and it's on the landfill. Yeah, so.
You and I are both familiar with the Huntsville facility. Would you equate your MRFs to or your transfer stations to the Huntsville, Alabama waste to energy there?
No, nothing, it's not even,
Well, I'm talking about odor, traffic, that kind of thing.
it's been a little bit since I've been there, but I don't remember them having an issue. We don't have an issue. But, if we do, it's very short term. We got a bad load in and we had to get it out. That's really has not been an issue for us.
All right, thank you.
Kurt, the video that you have, tell me again what that will depict.
It's a video of our Conyers MRF.
Okay.
And it shows the whole process from it coming in, getting processed, the paper going to the paper mill, and everything. You want to watch?
I think it would be worth our while to see that. And tell me again how that would correlate to what you're saying. Rutherford County is not quite ready for the MRF yet, but it sounds like baby steps would be maybe a transfer station, build the building big enough to when we grow to that point, you then slide the MRF into that footprint. Okay, so what we're going to see would be phase 2, perhaps. RC phase 2. Okay, all right.
And this video was taken a couple years ago, and we've already done upgrades to this facility. We've added robots, additional optical sorters. We put in artificial intelligence. It's called a vision system that monitors the quality of the paper coming out, going to our paper mill.
Does Columbus have any similarities to what we're going to see here?
Columbus is very, very different. Again,
okay.
They operate it, and they operate it with prison labor. So it's a very manual process, where Conyers is a very automated process.
All right.
It's, again, different objectives. They wanted it that way, the system designed that way, so that's how we designed it. It's all about the end, what resources do you have?
Right.
They had labor, and so it's not very automated at all. It's very manual.
Okay. But processing is kind of similar? It's a MRF? MRF?
The end products that come out of that MRF are the same. As Conyers.
But how?
Just a different.
But the entry is different?
Entry is different.
Okay.
Yes,
right.
and the process is different.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah. I was in Columbus.
Hi, my name is Kurt Schmitz with Pratt Recycling. We would like to give you a tour of our Conyers material recovery facility so that you can see how it works.
Trucks arriving at the facility stop first on the scale to be weighed, then circle the building and unload onto the floor. A front loader scoops and dumps materials into the in-feed bunker, where a drum feeder meters it onto the first conveyor. A mister helps manage any dust. The first conveyor rises to the pre-sort line, where workers remove contaminants, dropping them into bunkers below. Then the material drops onto the disc screen. Cardboard climbs the screen, and the remaining material falls through. The cardboard passes 2 more quality control checks, and then drops onto the floor for manual loading onto the baler line. The material dropping through the disc screen is conveyed to the trommel. The rotating trommel separates the material into 3 streams: fines, medium, smaller than 10 inches in diameter, and large items above that size. The fines drop out first and are conveyed past a cross-belt magnet to capture ferrous material and an eddy current to capture aluminum. The large size materials come out the end of the trommel and are conveyed to a blower sorter, which separates light materials from heavy. The 2 material streams each drop onto a sort line where contaminants are removed. The light sort is conveyed to the mixed paper truck, passing 1 final quality control check. The heavy side is conveyed to the optical sort line. The medium-sized materials coming out of the trommel are conveyed to the ballistic sorter. The ballistic sorter separates 2-dimensional materials from 3-dimensional materials. two-dimensional stream passes through an optical sorter, with the clean stream yielding mixed paper. The three-dimensional stream is conveyed to the optical sort line. The combined feed entering the optical sort line first passes under a crossbelt magnet. Then, three inline optical sorters separate number 2 HDPE, number 1 PET, and cartons. The stream then passes under a final crossbelt magnet and then an eddy current to capture aluminum. Each commodity is conveyed or blown into a bunker and then fed one at a time onto the baler conveyor to be compressed into bales. Bales are stacked and then loaded onto trailers to be sold as commodities. But the mixed paper stream has a special destination. Once a mixed paper trailer is full, the feed switches to the empty trailer. The full trailer is then hauled directly to the Pratt paper mill and unloaded to be repulped and made into 100% recycled paper. From there, the giant rolls are either converted into new cardboard at the adjacent manufacturing plant or shipped to other Pratt facilities throughout the U.S.
This facility is the first step in enabling Pratt Industries to provide our customers with 100% recycled packaging solutions. I hope you enjoyed the tour.
Go ahead, Mac.
We have actually been there. Jeff Davison and I and Joey Smith and Shannon Logan with the city toured there probably in 2016, I think. Facility was fairly new. Now, Robert was talking about odors. You smell dust. When you deal with paper and cardboard, it generates a lot of dust. Yeah. And if you left cardboard boxes in your car with the windows rolled up on a warm day, you smell that type of odor, but that's it. There's no stench. And like he said, there was actually a transfer station for garbage on the back corner. They didn't have a whole lot there with the day that we were there. But it's very impressive to see the facilities, and you saw those individuals picking things off of that line. The day we were there, that facility was running at over 100% capacity, and that line was moving at 7 miles an hour. 7 miles an hour doesn't seem very fast until it flies by you. I don't see how those ladies picked it that fast, but it's a very impressive facility.
All right, help me understand your suggested offerings here, because I'm still a little fuzzy, which is not a big surprise. You would pick up the recyclable-ish the products at our recycle centers, which plastics, glass, cardboard. You would take those to a site that we would help site. One of us are partnered, we'd build a building 80 to 100,000 square feet. You would pick that recyclable portion up at recycle centers, take it there. We're not talking about any curbside recycling at this point, are we?
I think
residential.
I think there's an independent that's doing some curbside.
So, say again? Oh, I'm sorry.
I think there's an independent company that's doing some curbside single stream today. So we could put in that pre-processing system to be able to handle single stream. But everything that's generated at the convenience sites today is source separated, which means everything is separate.
Okay. All right.
So we would just bring it back, and all we would really have to do is stage it until we had enough to make a bale out of it.
Yeah.
Or bales.
Okay. So then also at the convenience center where people are bringing their household waste and putting them in those containers, you guys aren't touching. We would, if nothing changed, we would continue to take those to the Middle Point that would continue to get buried. Anything picked up that the city picks up with curbside service, it goes wherever it goes. The recycling that some of us in the city pay extra for, waste I pay for a subcontractor to come and they take their stuff to waste management. Same kind of deal, that you could partner with somebody for that curbside type of thing. So I just want to be clear, the recycle center, it would be the recycling only. The trash part, we still have to deal with as we currently do, or find another avenue for that, or a partner with that. And let's talk a hair about the education part. We've seen enough and interviewed enough folks to understand that in order to really get the ball rolling, you kind of have to take baby steps and get certain functions in place and running smoothly before you're capable of moving on to that next step. And so one of those, as the mayor said, is the education part. We, and I'm sure millions across the country, have done a poor job of trying to get folks educated on recycling. People are either lazy or they don't get it, or we've just done a poor job trying to explain what's good, what's bad, what's worth some money, what is not worth money, and contamination issue. So let's say we've got legislation in place that would help strengthen some of that, like they do in the West Coast. Is there any part of that education process that Pratt can help us with over the next couple of years in educating the businesses, the commercial entities, and the household mom and pops, as well as the schools? Help us carry that load on the education process. Is that part of your proposal, or is it something you're doing elsewhere?
Sure. As John mentioned, I mean, it was a grassroots effort.
Go ahead and talk in the microphone.
It was a grassroots effort in the city of Denton. I mean, we started from very similar to where you're at today.
You don't have to look at me. Go ahead and talk.
Today. And it was very grassroots. We had schools in all the time. We had churches and anybody who wanted a tour or watch a video or be educated. I mean, we brought them in, and it was a process. It's not going to happen overnight, and we were very involved with the city in doing those educational programs.
And then I guess the bonus or the icing on the cake would be, after you remove those recyclables from the convenience centers and any other pickup points that there might be, you process those, and then as a P3 partner, we may actually receive a little bit of income, I think I heard you say, from some of the resale of those products back to the open market.
Correct. So when the market is strong and the products are worth more,
we all win.
Yes, and it will, sometimes it 100% offsets the processing cost.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it offsets it 100% and you get some back.
Yeah.
So it's we just share in that
right
in that that cost.
Right.
So, yeah.
Understand.
Since you've had Denton going 10 years, how long has Columbus been in operation?
8.
8. So you've had 10 years and 8 years to track the percentage that you've taken out of their waste stream. What percentage do you think you have kept from going into their landfills through this recycling program?
Well, in Denton, was it 1,500 tons a month? Something like that total? How many tons are we diverting?
Well, no, what percentage of their waste stream is now going for recyclables rather than going to the landfill? I mean, you started out 10 years ago. You started out 8 years ago. Is that measurable?
Waste stream.
Right. Compared to when you started 10 years ago, 100% may have been going to a landfill. What are you affecting it now?
I'm not sure we know the percentage, because I'm not sure we know the total number of tons of the solid waste.
Maybe the question,
That's not our.
maybe the
that's not our
question to
deal.
ask is, how many tons of recycling are you going through the Denton facility that otherwise would be going into the Denton landfill?
The other question would be, how would you coordinate your vehicles going to our convenience centers when we have vehicles going in and out of our convenience centers as well?
We would work with the center to figure out how often we need to be in there and empty the containers based on the generation. It's seasonal, it tends to be seasonal. And so, I don't know how it's working today, but we would figure out what the best logistical path for that is.
A rough estimate, we have probably taken around 300 million pounds of recyclables into our facility over the course of 10 to 12 years within at Denton alone. Yes. So about 150,000 tons. That's a rough estimate. That's
Per year?
No, in the course of the whole contract.
In the 10-year?
In a year,
Or 8 years?
1,500 tons a month.
10 years is Denton.
In a year, you're looking about 18,000 tons worth of material.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay. That's a fair lick.
36 million tons. Pounds, sorry.
Yeah.
36 million pounds of material about every year.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yes,
Sure.
Steve?
On your recycling, like your cardboard, making it from recycled paper, can you use any C&D in that? Like any
No.
timber, any yard limbs, nothing?
No.
So y'all have no use for any of that?
No.
Nothing at all?
No. It's 100% recycled from an existing box or a piece of paper.
Okay.
No wood products at all. We don't have the capability of removing the lignin and getting the raw fibers. We don't have a virgin process at all.
My second question. Now, we have recycle bins at all of our convenience centers, right? And then we have trash compactors that get everything. Are you only interested in the recycle bins and not the trash compactor boxes?
Yes, that's correct. That's not our forte. That's not what we're experts in. We're experts in recycling. So,
do you have the confidence that you can change our county to where your system will be beneficial for our county in changing the recycle mode here? Because now a whole lot more goes in the compactor than goes in the recycle bin.
right. The answer is yes. With a partnership with the county, absolutely.
Can you estimate how long that might take?
No, I really can't. It all depends on the response from the public, on our educational programs that we come up in conjunction with the county, and how well it's received, and how much more they participate.
So is this a facility you would be willing to build before you can see the ability of being able to change our community into a recyclable community?
Yes, because we could process what you have today there.
What if it's not enough? Is there a limit?
There is other recyclables that's generated in this area that would make more sense to go to a facility that was here than to be transported to Laverne or to downtown Nashville. So there are other recyclables available that we're very close partners with Waste Management and Republic in many other areas, in supply into our paper mills out of their MRFs and things. So we would have those type of discussions about, what kind of tonnage do you have that makes more sense to come to a facility if we were to put it in than, trucking it one truck at a time, 20 miles away that could take 2 hours.
So it is a possibility you will probably bring other trash in from somewhere else into our county for this facility?
We wouldn't bring any trash, no. It's all recyclables.
So it is possible you would bring recyclables from other counties into this facility?
Could be.
That's one of the goals we're trying to get away from, is bringing other counties' trash into Rutherford County. It may not be possible, but that's one of our goals.
And so if that's a restriction, that's fine. We can work through that.
Well, let me rephrase that. It's one of my goals.
Okay.
The landfill sits in my district, so I'm pretty passionate on the landfill situation. So if there's any way I can keep, other counties from burying us deep, I'm going to try. But that's all I've got right now. I'm going to listen some more.
Okay. Mean recyclables?
Well, let's make sure we're talking about two different things. Trash and recyclables are...
Allow other counties to bring their trash, whether it's recyclable.
Recyclables is not in the trash category. Okay? If let's talk about bringing other recyclables into the Rutherford County.
Explain to me your relationship with in Rutherford City, y'all had a close relationship. Can you explain that to us?
They're a very large supplier of paper to our mill system. So is Waste Management. We don't have the infrastructure of recycling plants to supply the needs of our paper mills. So we have to get it from everybody, and we get it from, the Walmarts and the Home Depot stores and all the basically every MRF in the country almost, because that's our appetite. We have to have it to make new paper. And so we have a great relationship with them. And it's on many, many levels, but that's probably the largest one for us.
Do they sell you recyclables? They do? Okay.
This is a question that Becky came up with, and I'm kind of curious as to the answer on this one. Identify who is responsible for our customer service response and how that communication is established and maintained.
Customer service response. Well, we would have we have a local Nashville plant. We would have local people on site, and a phone call would go to that facility and it would be answered by a person, and you'd have an immediate response. Yes, sir.
We recycle just a little bit, not near as much as we would like. Contamination, you mentioned that earlier, and that's a large factor, especially in our plastic loads. All of our commodities, you're correct, that our centers are individual containers. We don't do a single stream program there. We did do a single stream program at the school systems, the city and the county schools, and we wound up stopping that program because of the processing fee. Just to separate it was costing us, and we got nothing for the commodity. So we took that opportunity and changed it, and we're going with paper, cardboard only. And then we've got a paper, cardboard only route that we've got some businesses that we could get a whole lot more. We just haven't really tried to push for that yet. But the main purpose we did that business route for was all the containers are locked. And our contract with all those businesses says if you contaminated for the third time, we come get our equipment and we're not coming back. We've only had to stop one. And then we've had one that was a church, and the pastor called. He said, I'm tired of cleaning this thing out for the public. His was not locked. Just come get it. But the rest of it's been real successful. The location we take that to now wants, there's paper and cardboard mixed together is fine with them. The way you're talking about yours, that's fine with you, no separation. So if one of our cardboard compactors came into your facility, would it go across any line, or would it go just straight to the cardboard process?
Just straight to the cardboard.
And plastic, tin, aluminum, glass, mixed paper, all those same way?
Well, if it's heavily contaminated, we'd have to do something to sort it out. But generally, on a source-separated collection, it's relatively clean. So that's just a matter of baling it up and storing it for a truckload.
All right. If you can, and you may not be able to in this tonight, what's the advantage of Pratt hauling our recyclables out of our centers versus we hauling our own out of our centers?
You can haul your own. That's fine. We don't have to haul it to add the value of processing it. So if it makes more economical sense for you to do it internally, that's fine. We'll just accept it. That's we were offering the ability to run those roll-offs for you.
Right. So if you were to haul our recyclables for us, there's going to be a processing fee at the facility.
Right.
And there will be a decrease in the payout because of the trucking fee. Right?
Right. There'll be a haul fee and a processing fee, and then the revenue share to offset those costs.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mac, do you have any idea of the recyclable tons we have now out of the convenience centers?
Last year there was somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 tons of cardboard, probably 800 tons of paper, 500 tons of glass. Plastic, if you go into our centers and you see that 30-yard closed container full of plastic, weighs roughly a half a ton, a little over a half a ton, because it's a lot of airspace. We still had close to 300 tons of plastics. So we've got some commodity, and there's a whole lot more out there.
Right, but
Commissioner Piercy was asking, how are you going to capture that? At some point, we're going to have a trash fee. You don't necessarily have to have a recycle fee unless you just don't get enough commodity. But today, in our area, it's cheaper, easier, quicker, and more convenient for you to put everything in a trash bag, throw it in a compactor to the convenience center, and drive off. Those that we have are currently recycling today and paying private collection, which I do at my home as well, actually want that to happen. So there's a lot of people out there that want it. Now, Commissioner Piercy was asking earlier about the wood products. It would really amaze you at how many Christmas trees wind up in the mixed paper container. That's pre-consumer paper. So they don't do the pre-consumer paper. They just do the post-consumer paper. So the educational piece is going to be very, very important for us. That's the reason when the mayor and we were talking about how to set this RFP up, education is the first thing listed. That's where we have to start. We can change this culture, but we have to educate our public, and we have to let them know that, what they're talking about doing, if they have a facility here, all the commodity in this county would go to that facility simply because it's a cost avoidance and the trucking cost to go anywhere else. The big boy trash companies that are also dabbling in the recycle business would use that facility as well. The downside to not having one facility for everything is you go to one facility, they want plastics this way. You go to a different facility, they only want plastics 1s and 2s. So it makes it hard on where you're going to go and what you're going to do. We've talked about it in the greater Nashville region. We haven't gone there very far with it, but we're going to continue the discussion. If we could get all 14 counties in the greater Nashville region to recycle exactly the same way, we would have a marketable commodity that we could do something with. That's going to take a lot of governments and a lot of people agreeing, but that can be done, and we can be the first one to get that started.
Kurt, do you have any idea, is Pratt receiving any tonnage of recyclables from Rutherford County now?
I would say yes,
But you don't have, okay.
Because the single stream that's collected in Rutherford County, the only single stream plant today is in Nashville, run by Waste Management, and we get mixed paper out of there for the Conyers paper mill. Now, we obviously don't get any plastic bottles, cans, stuff like that, because that's their deal. But we do get some paper out of there, yes.
Well, there's some market already here. We only have a couple of thousand tons of total recycling materials out of our convenience centers. That's what I just gathered. Less than 3,000 tons total. You're picking up some paper now with your relationship with Waste Management. So, but we don't know what that quantity is. Trying to come up with some kind of get our arms around what is the quantity. These guys are 75 tons a day, 18,000 a year down here at Denton. Do we have any idea how many tons you could count on before you start putting salespeople up here and pursuing material? Any idea?
Let me help you just a little.
Thank you. Please do.
In the early 1990s, I drove a trash truck for a trash company. We also hauled cardboard. All the loads of cardboard that was hauled by the company I worked for went to Shelbyville. Shelbyville was my route, and it was a 4-load-a-day route. To get done in a 10-hour day, you could push it to 12 and a half and get 5 loads. The route driver that worked this area didn't like going to Shelbyville. Everything I hauled was a 42-yard compactor. I'd go to Shelbyville, pick up a load of trash, come to Middle Point, dump it. I'd stop here in Murfreesboro, pick up a load of cardboard, take it down there and dump it. I hauled 8 loads a day on a 4-load-a-day route, and that was 5 days a week, and that was in the early 90s. Recycling is a whole lot more here. You got businesses that's grown here that recycle better than they did back then. So to answer your question, yes, sir, there's a lot of recyclable commodities here. Now, you've got a lot of different companies that are managing that.
Do we know where City of Murfreesboro's recyclables go?
Yes, sir. Which commodity you want to speak of?
Well, I guess the biggest one would be plastics.
Their plastics are picked up by Republic Services and taken to their facility.
Okay.
They used to go to Franklin. I don't think it goes to Franklin anymore. I'm not sure where they actually take it. Cardboard goes to Griff Industries in Laverne. Glass, we haul for them. It goes to Waste Management. The aluminum and tin cans, we haul for them. It goes to Clark Metals.
Okay. So do you, or if not you, I would imagine Darren or the mayor could probably rough number some tonnages of plastics. You know, it sounds like you would know what the metal and glass would be that we could add to Phil's question mark of tonnages, and how do you get to 7,500 if that's truly a benchmark number?
75 a day is what Denton's doing. 60 a day in Columbus. 60 tons a day.
50
to 60 tons per day is what's handled in those communities. Can you conceive of there being 60 tons a day available in Rutherford County? Is that conceivable?
Is that a pipe dream?
If you mix in all the, or if we're similar to Conyers and similar, not Conyers, but Columbus and Denton, can y'all conceive of acquiring 60 tons a day to justify a plant?
Hopefully I got this correct. I think what he is asking is current tonnage that we're processing in our Nashville facility out of the Rutherford County area, whether it's Rutherford County material or not, is it out of Rutherford County? Is that correct?
No, sir. Y'all have, you have a plant in Denton, Texas that's running with 60 tons a day. Correct?
Correct.
And you've achieved 60 tons a day in a community similar to our size.
Okay.
Correct?
Yes.
You got there. You educated. Your sales staff hit the plants. And you acquired enough product to operate 2 plants. Correct?
Correct.
So I'm just going to say we can find 60 tons a day.
I think so.
We can help you, your professionals, your staff.
I think so. Yes.
We're going to bring 3,000 tons. We're going to bring 800 tons of cardboard.
Do it.
We're going to bring 3,000 tons a year of mixed recycling that's in your acceptable list. What are you going to charge us a ton to drop 3,000 tons a year at your facility?
Depends on the commodity and if it needs to be processed or just baled.
We're bringing it to your floor. Do you charge Denton, Texas a ton rate for what they bring to your plant? Do you charge Columbus, Georgia a ton rate for what they bring to your plant? Forget the sales, just is there a rate that you've experienced in your history as a company that you're charging a county or city?
It is different at every single plant. I will say that. But yes, there are charges and there are rebates and shared revenues at almost every facility that we have. And the reason for that is historically, if you look at, I'm just going to use single stream as an example, the composite value of everything in that bucket in single stream used to be 3 times more than the cost to process it to get to those individual commodities. 2 years ago, that flip-flopped. And so every ton that every MRF was processing and still paying to receive it was losing money. And I'm talking lots of money. So the sustainable structure that Pratt and almost every other MRF in the country has come up with is a processing fee and then a revenue share back.
Understood, and it fluctuates wildly. If you read on the internet about your properties in Denton, you had to take some off to the landfill for a while. That happens. I get it. In your 10 years there, is there an average that the community of Denton is paying to remove their recycling stream and put it at your facility? I'm trying to get my mind around. Y'all help me ask the question. I don't care about selling it. What is our cost per year, per ton, in a 10-year average? Y'all must have that history from Conyers and Denton. Is it going to cost us $2 million a year? Is there a tipping fee, a fee? Rebates are just gravy. They're not going to happen.
So I will tell you
Am I out of line asking this? I'm trying to get my mind around.
Makes sense to me.
What are we going to pay?
I will tell you that you can't look at a 10-year history because the first 8 years of that 10-year history, typically we were paying people to take it because the value of that commodity was so far greater than our cost to process. Okay, so
what's your cost to process? Do you have a ton?
Depends on the MRF. It depends on the capital costs that we put in. It depends on how many tons a month we process. But it can range from $40 a ton just to bale something to $75 a ton to process heavily contaminated material. It's a wide range. And if we get into an agreement or a partnership, the longer the agreement, the better processing fee or the lower processing fee we can offer, because we're spreading out that cost of the equipment that we're going to put in over a longer period of time.
And we can't use a known quantity of 60 tons a day. You can't tell us how this plant in Conyers, what's the financial, I don't want to get into proprietary information.
I can't tell you what we're charging other people. I can give you a range.
Yeah, the 75 tons a day, $75 a ton is your high end, it sounded like.
Yeah.
So $3,600 a day to process 75 tons, or $5,600 to process 75 tons. I'm just using.
Let me help you a little.
Thank you. Somebody help me.
If we took a load of cardboard to them from most any of our centers, they would pay us the premium tonnage price for that cardboard because it's clean, dry cardboard. If you took contaminated wet cardboard, they're not going to give you a premium price. So it's going to depend on who is bringing it and how well they manage their commodity and their lack of contamination. If we took them a load of plastic from Almaville today, they'd probably make us bring it back home. Wouldn't even let us unload it. So a lot of what you're trying to get at is going to be hard to answer because it's going to depend on the customer, the product that they're doing, and then the amount of product. If we took one load a year, we may not get that premium price. If we took 10 loads a week, we'd get a little better price.
Then we've got a $4.5 million solid waste budget. Our budget's not going to go down. We're just going to have to pay to send our recycling to Pratt transfer yard. And then if it makes some money, we might get some back. This is not about saving money. This is about diverting it from the landfill, and it's going to simply cost us to divert it. That's what I'm picking up here.
Called cost avoidance. That's what you're looking at. It's cost avoidance. Today, most of the recycled commodities don't have much of a value whatsoever. Most everybody, with the exception of us, has a disposal fee at the landfill. So if they can take that product to the recycler and get paid nothing for it, they're still better off than taking it to the landfill and paying to get rid of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're saving the space. This 6 years, allegedly, that Republic is running out of space, all that factors in to the equation. So I see where you're going. I hope you see where he's going.
I do.
He's trying to get a number of what it's going to cost per ton.
The financial consideration of how to determine, and perhaps we need to. I will stop this. We'll take this under consideration as a group and not put you on the spot. And my frustration is my inability to articulate, not being frustrated with you guys. Okay, so if I express frustration, it's not about y'all. It's a frustrating topic.
And it's a fair question. I don't think we can come up with that number until we dig into more of the tons, the available tons, the tons you control, how many tons might be out there that you don't control today. All of that plays into that number. So I don't think it's something that we can give you today without going down the road a little bit further together. Okay? Okay. Yes, sir.
So we hope you're one of the ones that are selected, and you'll come back knowing that we will probably may have access to some land that you could utilize, that potentially that you may build the transfer station, or possibly we might. So when you come back to make your next presentation, which I presume you will at that time have come up with some tonnage and taking consideration that, say, hypothetically, we provide the land to put the transfer station on. You build a transfer station, and as we grow like Denton or Columbus has grown, that you'll come up with some prices that, based on a long-term agreement, that we can make a decision based on those numbers that you have shared with us, either from option A or option B, or maybe even option C. So that's my perception of what you would do for us. Would that be correct?
That's correct. And it may change in each phase. As we grow volumes, maybe we change that fee structure, to help kind of ease the pain through each phase. And maybe we build the entire building in the first phase, the whole 80, 100,000 square feet, whatever. Or maybe we build half of it and be able to blow a wall out and add on to it. There's a lot of options. If the county has the resources to build the building, that's another option. It's not, there's no set expectation from us. It's more about how do we figure out the best way to achieve the end goal with all the resources that we have available to us. So, the fees and the costs, again, they may change as we evolve and we grow and build this out. So.
Is there, Kurt, let me ask you, assuming that you'll be coming back and sitting with us again and having some deeper negotiations and discussions, and the same question, we would want to be fair and ask the same questions to anybody that comes back and talks about the recycling part. So I'm going to preface this question in that way. Is there something you would need from us that would help better clear the air that we're talking about in terms of, Becky's association with the city of Murfreesboro, with the county, and Mac with his vast knowledge of what goes on in the region? Would it be helpful if we had a baseline, X amount of tons of cardboard, X amount of tons of plastic metals? I mean, would it be helpful for you and others to say, okay, Rutherford County, by hook or crook, or by bringing in all the cities, if we all participated, this is our baseline. Can you at least build a cost matrix? I mean, would that be helpful?
Absolutely.
And I'm asking Mac and Becky. And Becky, it may be too early for you to ask this question with the involvement with the city. Do you think we could come up with some kind of a common ground baseline of tons of those three main recyclables, cardboard, plastics, and metals? Would that be it? Is there something else missing?
I think the hard part for everyone here as I look at your all's faces is we're only talking about recyclables tonight. We've talked about garbage for days and weeks and months on end, and now we're only talking about recyclables. That's the first challenge I see on your all's faces, and I mean that with all due respect, you know that. I think the hard part for us in coming up with a baseline number is we only know what Mac collects at his convenience centers and what the city of Murfreesboro collects through their convenience center there. There will be private haulers out there that are hauling residential services curbside. There will be private haulers out there that are hauling for commercial, industrial, and institutional companies here in town that we have no idea where it's going or what they're doing with it. I would tell you they're probably recycling it, and there's potential they're taking it to a Pratt facility or a facility that then feeds a Pratt facility. But at the end of the day, I think that you'll have to consider that if there's a facility here in your community, it's going to save a private company money if they use a local facility that they can get into and out of, shy of driving all the way to Nashville to get rid of a load of cardboard, mixed paper, whatever it is they have. Does that make sense?
It does. So what just clicked is if that's cheaper for them to do that, then what Mac and I pay to a private guy every month to come pick up our recyclables may get a little cheaper because they're not driving all over Timbuktu to get rid of it.
It may. And that's
they encourage more folks to jump on the recycle bandwagon.
And that's true of anything. Anything, whether it's garbage or recyclables or anything you're hauling, it's the logistics of hauling.
Okay.
But the catch to this is if you have a facility that's closer to, quote, your home base, and you have private companies in this community that are already in the business and they're successful at what they're doing,
Yeah.
then for them, it's a benefit to have this type of facility here because all of a sudden they've saved money. There's potential that their routes will increase because they're spending less time on the road, which is money. And so all of a sudden, instead of driving to Nashville and back with one load, they're able to collect more in this community with one truck with the resources they have because they can easily use a facility that's 5 miles down the road versus Nashville, all the way into Nashville. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Smart lady.
Oh.
And the other thing you have to be cautious of when you talk about recyclables, that's a very, very broad term. We recycle electronics,
Yeah.
tires, carpet padding, bicycles,
right,
and then all the other commodities. So it depends on what commodity you want to recycle.
Yeah. They've already made it clear that they're not interested in any of those.
But and I want to just say that's the respect of knowing a company that has the expertise of this box of materials. We do it well. We feed ourselves. We know we have a market, or we know we have an end place for it. So all of the things we've talked about for the past several weeks or several months of, well, there's nowhere to take recyclables. There's no one that will take these. There's no one that will buy them. All of a sudden, this is a company that does all of that together as one under their own umbrella because they feed themselves, if that makes sense.
I'm going to ask one dumb question.
Never a dumb question. Only one you
I'll admit this is a dumb question. You're in the paper business. First and foremost, you're in the corrugated box business.
Correct. Exactly.
You need corrugated boxes, or you need paper, mixed paper, to 70% of that goes into remaking your purposing boxes. Why in the world do you want to fool with plastics and metals? That just sounds like a distraction to me.
It enables us. It's kind of a byproduct that we have built a whole marketing team around.
I'm talking to the mic. Other people may be interested in this
We've built a whole
answer.
marketing team around those commodities because that's what we're separating out of the paper that we need internally to make new paper. We have, John?
I was going to say too, like with the city of Denton, they have a residential single stream program. They weren't going to just put out cans in front of people's house, say just put paper in there. We want the paper. We want it bad. We make boxes out of it. But most cities aren't just going to have a paper. They want them to put plastics on it. So it comes with it. And we have developed our group and our infrastructure to not only handle that, but excel at it. So we take the paper. We're going to take all that with it because our competitors are too. Every other MRF's going to do it. We're in it because we want the paper, but we have mastered the cells of the plastics and the metals to help support that plant, to help support, the profits help go to the county or wherever our partnership it also pays for the employees there. Those tend to be the higher cost commodities. It helps us to keep that plant running so we can have fiber for our mill. Yeah.
Right.
And I would venture to remind you all that a lot of us have gone to ordering online lately in the past year.
Yeah.
And I'm not real sure where we would have gotten boxes if we weren't recycling a lot of those cardboard boxes, because I figure you all needed the feedstock to make more boxes.
We do. We make a lot of Amazon boxes.
Yeah.
A lot.
To help answer your question, I came from the garbage side. And when I started in the garbage business, garbage companies wanted all garbage. They could make money with their landfill and their trucking operation. Right. Then you get these big companies come in, they want to be green, they want to recycle. Well, if you want my garbage, you got to help me recycle. So when you get a company that's going to be a really good customer and they want you to do something else to help them, that's what gets you into those other markets.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Craig, you've been exceptionally quiet today. I hope you're feeling all right. Do you have any questions you would like to share with the group?
No.
Okay. All right. Mayor?
Good.
All right. Kurt, is there any last? Did you cover everything you wanted to cover? I'm not trying to cut you off.
I think so. We hope we're asked back to keep going down the road and getting more data and structuring a plan and hopefully we're chosen.
Okay. And you don't care if we help you build the building, you build the building, we build, that's all part of the negotiation process down the road. Okay. But you're in agreement that the first thing we need to do is educate in order to get better, cleaner, more feedstock for your paper / other recyclable.
Very important component.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
And I will add one more thing.
Yeah.
We have a different company that we take our paper and cardboard to because it's in the county, less trucking, but they are our backup. When that company can't take it, and then Maury will gladly take our stuff, except on the weekends. They don't want us on the weekends.
Yeah. And just to refresh my memory, your closest cardboard place, our backup, we'd have to drive where for their backup?
Nashville.
To Nashville, okay. Okay. All right. Going once. All right. You guys, thank you very much. And all of you, thanks for traveling. Safe travels back. Again, as far as bringing the most folks to the show, you guys win first place. So I'm sorry there's no cash prize or trophy, but thank you for your participation and your dedication aid to Pratt and your desire to be part of the proceedings tonight.
For having us.
Yes,
really.
thank you. We will be in touch.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Thank you all. Last few items of business. Please turn in your score sheet to Miss Becky. And Becky, will you tell us what's next on our agenda, and we're basically on our own from this point forth, I believe, right? Unless something changes.
What I would say to you is I'm going to offer up a spreadsheet of the totals, and it'll be an average at the bottom of each of your scores for each of the companies we've heard from. And what I'll recommend you do is pick those, top 3, top 4, whatever that number is, or specific companies that you all thought were scored higher based on the collective scoring that you all have shared. And from there, we look at what the next steps are. I would say at that point, you start to call people back for further conversation, ask some of the more detailed questions that we haven't been able to get answers to.
And would it be fair to say at that point, we would highly encourage any cities that want to be involved be at those meetings as well? Is that a fair statement? Okay. Because if they want to be a part, they need to be listen to what's going on and be part of the conversation. So is it May 26th? May 26th is our next meeting. That's when we will review the rankings. We will decide on who we want to continue negotiation with. And let me give this reminder. I need to queue up my phone here, so bear with me one second. This is a reminder for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night at the, Mac, you can help emphasize this, at the Murfreesboro Police Station Community Room, is that correct? On Highland Avenue is the Central Region Solid Waste Commission meeting, and I believe that's at 6 p.m., right? And tell us what's going to happen at that meeting tomorrow night, and do we need to be there to support you?
Going to be dancing girls and partying.
Then yes, we will be there.
No, we're in a 4-county region. The counties are Coffee, Cannon, Warren, and us. And we will have a meeting, our regular meeting, to approve our 10-year plan and our annual progress report. The 10-year plan is what we've been talking about. Most of y'all have seen it. Darren Gore and I got together last week, and we made some adjustments to it. And there's one section in there that talks about complaints. We don't have an avenue to keep up with complaints. I can tell you, we get complaint phone calls, but we don't have any way to track how many. I can tell you most of our calls, the convenience centers aren't open as often as I want to, and I don't like your rules. that type stuff. The city has something similar. We also put in there that Middle Point, we do get complaint calls about odor. We also put in there in a different section that in 2018, the county commission decided that they did not want Middle Point to core drill on our landfill and effectively stopped that expansion. Has nothing to do with the one that they've got on there now. And then there was another one on there that was, trying to think off the top of my head, it was something that Darren wanted there, but it was pretty simple. But that's the only changes. So we hope to be able to plan that at the end of the meeting. We plan to set a hearing date to hear Middle Point Expansion's request. More than likely be June the 26th, I think, 27th, whatever that Monday is in June. Here. Last Monday in June, 28th. Okay, that's what we're going to shoot for because this room is available that night. Tonight or tomorrow night's meeting, the city also has a meeting, so they're not sure that they will not be televised, but they are going to try to at least have it audio recording of the meeting.
Okay. Is tomorrow night also a public comment section, or is that the June meeting?
June meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Now, it's an open meeting. Anybody can attend our meeting tomorrow night, but the landfill expansion is not part of that meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any of those who have interest in attending to see how that goes or plays out, 6 o'clock at Highland Avenue, Police Community Center. Bingo. Any questions, comments? See you on the 26th. Thank you all.